Hi crafty friends, it's Donna here. First of all, I want to say a big welcome to all the new members of our little community here. Quite a few of you went shopping with me in Tokyo, and I'm hoping to bring some more of those videos, especially seeing how much so many of you seem to enjoy it. What I have for you today is a recipe for a gift box, which is a lovely way to present cards if you want to give them away as a gift. In a recent video, we made a set of 10 cards using the Little Village 6x6 paper pack from Paper Rose Studio. And I'll link to that video up the top here and also in the box below. At the time, I held back one sheet of paper with the cottage and apple tree picture on it, and we're going to use that and the rest of the scraps to construct today's box. There are lots of different boxes on the internet, but I constructed this one with two things in mind. Firstly, that I used normal sized paper. Whether you be in Australia, America or Europe, you can use the regular card that you're buying to make your cards from. And secondly, that you should be able to easily adjust the recipe for the number and size of cards that you have. Our first score line is the height of the cards plus 6mm or 1/4 inch. My cards are standard 5.5 inch cards, so I've scored at 5 3/4 inches. Next, we're going to look at the thickness of the pile of cards we made. My cards were 1 inch thick, so I've scored at 1 1/4 inches past my previous line. And we're going to remember that 1 1/4 inches, or whatever yours came to. We're going to use that measurement again and again. That's the sides of our box. In fact, we're going to use that measurement straight up. Turning our paper, we're going to now score that same measurement, 1 1/4 inches in my case, along the long side of our paper. The next measurement is going to be the width of our cards, again plus that 6mm or 1/4 inch. Then our box is going to need another side, and so back to that measurement that we remembered. Mine was 1 1/4 inches, and we'll score that again. This line that we're scoring now is actually a cutting line. That's the edge of our box. I have a small trimmer, and so I fold first and cut second so that it will fit inside the trimmer. And the way that I remember which way to fold is to turn the valley into a mountain, so that the indent that I left from my scoring tool is now on the outside of the fold. The last step left for this piece of paper is to just remove some of the bulk by cutting in very slightly at a diagonal on either side of the line that will make the two tabs in the middle. Then we can fold that up and check it for size. The paper that I'm using here is Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 110 pound. It is about 300 GSM or grams per square metre, and most papers have that GSM written on them somewhere. If you find something that's 300 or above, it will be suitable. And here's our finished half a box. The height of that front section will vary depending on your measurements, but it will always be enough. The next step is to write on the panels what they are, and I'm writing the full word so that I'm very clear about which way is up, because later on when I open this back out again, it's not going to be so obvious. And you can see that the cards fit in there beautifully. The next step is to make the front flap, and we're going to cut that to the width of our cards plus 1/4 inch, so that it is the same width as our box. First, I'm scoring a small tab. I used 1/2 inch, roughly 1 centimetre, but it's not critical. Next, I used that measurement that we remembered. Mine was 1 1/4 inches to make the top of the box. The rest is the front. There's more than enough card here to make a full length front, but you can choose what height you'd like. I'm going to let my patterned paper determine the length of mine, as you'll see in a minute. I did first cut the length of the paper to the height of my box, card plus 1/4 inch, but then I changed my mind when I saw the possibilities for the paper. Once again, I'm labelling everything so I know which way is up. Let's start some decorating. After I'd made these 10 cards, I had the one sheet of paper that I'd carefully saved, and a bunch of scraps, and something that I always like to use, which is the front cover sheet, which has a lot of nice patterns on it that can be used. This is also made of card, which is slightly thicker than the other paper, which is going to come in handy. Here I'm contemplating this really pretty piece of paper and realizing that if I just scooch it up a little bit, I can use the whole sheet and make that the front of my card. and so that's what I'm going to do. And here is your metric girl working hard on her imperial maths. I want to leave a small border of white around the outside of each panel. Firstly, because I think it looks nice, but also so that it won't have wear and tear as I open and close the box. And so to do that, I'm going to cut my patterned paper 1/8 of an inch smaller, which is about 3 millimeters, and that will leave me a small border all of the way around. These papers are nice and thick, so you can use glue to attach them. But those of you that have been here for a while know that probably in this case, the double-sided tape was closer to my right hand, and so that's what I'm using here. If you're using thinner papers that might wrinkle with wet glue, then I recommend the double-sided tape. It's more fiddly than glue, but it gives a great clean result. Once I have those pieces of paper attached, I'm going to cut my front down to match the size of my paper. As far as the side flaps go, only the long flaps will be showing, and so we need to cut some patterned paper to that size, and then just match the little angle that we cut originally when we cut the tabs. Not all of these papers have an up and down, but where they do, it was very helpful to have those words written down. I've made do and patched pieces together because I don't have enough full-sized pieces, and it's all worked out just fine. I'm going to make sure I have a nice strong adhesive for the next bits because they're all going to hold the structure of the box together. Once my tape is all down on the side panels and the top flap, we can start constructing. The adhesive on these little flaps is not strictly necessary, but I didn't want them flapping up and getting in the way when I was putting cards in and out of the box, and so I've chosen to put it there. With all the cards in the box, it will hold its shape, but I'd like to add a little tab to help hold the box square even as the cards start coming out of it. I've added that little strip of houses to that front green panel, and now I'm going to add a thicker piece of card behind the lid, and that will slide down and lock into the little piece and just gently hold the box in shape. I'm going to use a wet glue to give myself a little bit of wriggle room, and then lay the tab face up, butting right up against the other half of the catch, before closing the lid and holding it in exactly the position I want it to finish up in. Lastly, I'm going to tie a little bow to keep everything closed, and my box is done. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you've enjoyed this project. Feel free to check out the other video if you're interested in making the cards, or in the idea of making cards from sketches without taking a long time in choosing your sketches. If you haven't been over and seen it and you're interested, feel free to join me and come shopping in Tokyo. Until next time, stay safe. I hope you can find some time to do the things you love, and I'll be back again soon. Bye for now.